So this video is going to explain the purl stitch. And if you learn the purl stitch, you can make this new kind of fabric called stockinette, which has got a whole bunch of beautiful V-shaped stitches on the front, and all the purl bumps show up on the back. And this is the kind of stitch that's used in a lot of knitted garments, most especially things like t-shirts and socks. So here we go. When you're doing the stockinette stitch, which is what it looks like when there's these little V stitches on the front, we knit one row. The usual way knitting, front to back, wrap around the back needle only, give that little pull under the bridge, and slide it off. Same knit stitch all the way to the end. Let me do this super fast so you can see. Front to back, around the back and in between, through the window, slide off the old stitch, and notice all those old stitches are coming off on the back. Now when we do the stockinette stitch the other direction, let me just get to the end of this row. We have to do a new stitch called a purl stitch, which is essentially opposite day on a knit stitch. Everything you do on a knit stitch, you do the opposite to make a purl stitch. So here we go at the end of our row of knitting, ready to turn our work and come back the other way. Here we go. The yarn is in the front this time. The yarn is in the front near to us. We've got all our stitches in our left hand, all hiding in there except the one that's ready to go. And we insert our working needle from back to front, the opposite of what we would do for knitting. And then we wrap in between and around the front. Then we go backwards through the window and we slide the old stitch off on the front. So it's basically completely backwards of a knit stitch. Back to front through that stitch. Wrap your yarn around in between and around the front. Give that little pull like always. Go backwards through the window, come out in the front, and slide off your old stitch. Notice you're sliding off all those old stitches on this side of your stockinette. Let's try this again. Back to front, around the in between and around the front, backwards through the window, and slide off your old stitch. Back to front, in between and around the front. Give that little pull. Go backwards through the window, slide off the old stitch. Back to front, in between and around the front. Give that little pull. Go backwards through the window, slide off your old stitch. Back to front, in between and around the front. Give that little pull. Go backwards through the window, and slide off your old stitch. And there it is right on the front. So all the purl bumps, all your old stitches end up on the front instead of on the back. So you get that smooth finish on the good side, and the bumps are all on the wrong side of the fabric. Back to front. Wrap your yarn around the front needle only, going in between first. Give that little pull, go backwards through the window, and slide off your old stitch. Back to front. Wrap around the front needle only. Backwards through the window, slide off your old stitch. Back to front, give that little pull, go backwards through the window, slide off the old stitch, back to front needle only, give that little pull, go backwards through the window, slide it off, back to front, wrap around the front needle only, give that little pull, go backwards through the window, slide off your old stitch, back to front, wrap around the front needle only, wrap around the front needle only, give that little pull, go backwards through the window, and slide it off. There's our row of purl stitches, and all the purl bumps end up on the side closest to you, the knitter. When I turn it the other way, this is the right side, right, and this is the wrong side, and I'm ready to do my next row with a knit stitch.